Meg Griffin has had to endure a lot over the years. She's been established as the brunt of the family and the bottom rung at school. Out of all the things she's had to put up with, we wanted to tackle the top 10 worst things to happen to Meg Griffin. The first we'll be covering at number 10 is she was replaced on Family Reality Show.
Meg Griffin.
Oh, sorry I'm late, Mr. Taylor.
After being humiliated at the sleepover, Meg decided the best way to embarrass her family in return was to put them on the local show Diane. Of course, the tactic doesn't end up working. Instead, Peter was approached by a producer who asked to turn the family into a reality show since they proved to be so entertaining.
So do we have a deal?
Let's shake on it.
With Meg being upset enough with her friends seeing her parents and brothers, she of course reached a breaking point with the cameras capturing everything. Meg stormed off during a meal out, demanding the cameras be shut off and the show come to an end. The solution, however, was to simply replace Meg with another young woman who would go along with what the producers want. Peter and Lois then met with Meg in secret, telling Meg she wasn't allowed to live at home while the show was going on in order to not be caught on the cameras. And so, Meg had to face being displaced for the sake of 15 minutes of fame, which is a pretty traumatic thing to put a vulnerable kid through. Before we get into the next one, this video is following in at number 9 is when Lois stole her boyfriend.
Mom, I forgot my keys. Do you know where...
Meg has suffered from a lot of self-esteem issues, and it resulted in her having a poor track record when it comes to dating. It isn't unusual for Meg to date anyone, happy to have any sort of attention, leading to the family expecting anyone she brought home to have something wrong with them. When she brought someone home they deemed normal, they made a whole spectacle of it. Lois, however, took it further. Between the compliments she received from Meg's boyfriend and the derogatory comments Peter was making, Lois decided to make a move and pursue the young man now frequenting her home. Meg wound up walking in just as Lois was making out with him, leading to Meg not only having to face her boyfriend cheating, but also realizing that her own mother would sabotage Meg's relationships to feel better about herself. Next up, when she was abused while driving Peter and his friends around. When Peter wound up losing his license, Meg offered to drive him around until he got it back. Peter, as he usually does, wound up treating Meg like garbage, even though she was going out of her way to make his life easier. The entire time Peter complained about being bored, throwing tantrums like a child, he forced her to drive him and his friends around. It was during one of these times that Meg was pushed way too far. After her hat was lit on fire and then put out with beer, Meg took out her frustrations on another motorist, assaulting him in the middle of the street. At number 7 is when Meg was assumed dead, then kidnapped by Chris. After learning it was skip day at school, Meg returned home to find everyone gone. Upon calling Lois, Meg was dismissed with both Peter and Lois claiming that she was with them, so whoever was calling was pulling a prank. Meg decided to make the best of things by going to the bowling alley, spending the day there, as the bowling alley has people drop off their IDs at the shoes. Meg's ID was mistakenly given to another young girl who wound up dying in a wreck. After being neglected for so long, Meg decided to roll with it and simply moved to a new area and took up a new identity. Meanwhile, Chris was enjoying all of the attention lavished on him by well-wishers at school. His peers, driven to be sympathetic, made Chris the focus at school and he was enjoying the popularity. So when Meg contacted him to say that she was alive and wanted to come home, Chris decided to kidnap her. Meg had forced her way to freedom and exposed Chris to the school, only to be completely ignored when Chris was able to avoid trouble by talking his way out of it. Following in at number 6 is the episode Meg and Quagmire. This entire episode was hard on Meg. Meg went home only to learn that no one came for what was meant to be her surprise party, making her feel horribly depressed. Up until Quagmire arrived, that is. Quagmire showing up when no one else did makes Meg an easy target for his advances. With Meg being 18, he was determined to make her a notch in his bedpost, no matter how long it took.
Where's he going? What's he doing? Get back here. There you go.
Next up at number 5 is when she was sold into slavery to pay Peter's debt. Neil Goldman has been downright creepy when it comes to his fixation on Meg. He's thankfully pulled back from his earlier methods, but episode 8, Simple Rules for Buying My Teenage Daughter, took the cake. When Peter wound up misunderstanding what it meant to open up a tab at Mort's Pharmacy, putting him deep into debt, Peter's solution was to use Meg to pay off his debt. As horrible as the proposition was, went along with it, and Meg was forced to be a slave for not only Neil, but the whole family. At number 4 is when Meg had her kidney stolen. During the episode Valentine's Day, Meg was on a date that went south quickly.
So what should we do next?
Though Toby appeared nice, he was actually employed to harvest people's organs. So he took the opportunity of Meg's guard being down to drug her drink and took her kidney. He did end up leaving the kidney with her after he grew fond of her, but it was a messed up thing to do to someone. Taking the number 3 spot is when she was sexually assaulted by Trump. When Peter wound up employed by Trump, the entire family was forced to move to Washington, D.C. During a party, Meg, with her confidence sky high from her new look and awestruck meeting the president, didn't notice Trump making an advance at her until it was too late. In a matter of minutes, Meg's confidence and trust were once again shattered just because some pig couldn't understand consent and keep his hands to himself.
Write this.
Coming in at number 2 is when Meg got diabetes and lost her legs. When Corey from Corey's World promised he was able to make anyone internet famous, Peter made a bet that he couldn't do it for Meg. Taking one look at her, Corey declared her niche would be fridge bod, and quickly got her trending on Twitter. Meg happily went along with it and was soon flooded with views, fans, and sponsors. However, in order to keep up with it all, Meg was also becoming increasingly unhealthy. To keep impressing her fans, she would eat raw bacon and chug corn syrup, leading to her collapsing at an event. The lifestyle she had taken up had resulted in her getting diabetes, and because she didn't stop for fear of losing her fame, she soon lost her legs. Finally, at number 1, we have the episode Lego My Mego. Meg agreed to go to Paris with Ruth. Unfortunately, being too young and trusting, the girls were targeted by a sex trafficking ring and kidnapped.
Oh my god, Dad. Are they gonna take me? I'm so scared.
When Stewie and Brian rushed to Paris to try and find her, they were too late to keep Meg from going to auction and had to find out who purchased her. This ending was actually bittersweet for Meg. She had endured a lot of torment and offered comfort to one of the other girls imprisoned before finally meeting a young prince that conveyed he wished to take care of her, justifying buying her as his form of rescue, only for the guy to be killed by Stewie. But what do you think? What do you consider to be the worst thing to happen to Meg? Let us know in the comment section below. We are the Screen Addicts, addicted to the screen as much as you.